Hello guys, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you how we are going to create our application inside our Django project. Go to the project on GitHub, and when you go and read the README, you'll find the instructions of how to install the applications. This is like instructions of you start by installing the prerequisites, and then the next thing is you activate your virtual environment, then you install Django 1.11. Then we're starting the project. You start Django admin, start project, bank system. Let us do that. As you have noticed, currently I'm using Windows operating system, but when running Django commands, it's always the same. So since I have the virtual environment, it's already here, I'll need to activate it. So I'll cd into ANV, then I cd into scripts. To scripts, I'll just do activate. Then I'll activate my environment. When you're using Linux, what you're going to do is source env bin, then activate. In Windows, it's different because there's scripts instead of bin. So go back to the project. Now notice that we don't have any project here, it's only the env file. We don't have any project here, it's only the env. As you can see here, the env folder that has this is just Python like environment. This is just Python code, we don't tamper with it. Okay, now we want to create our Django project. All you need to do is Django, type Django, then admin. What is the name of our project? Let's call it banking system. Start project, then banking system. By the way, if you don't have the virtual environment on, this will not work. You need to activate your virtual environment so that you use the Django framework. And there's also one thing that I forgot. When you're using this virtual environment, you need to install Django using pip. When you activate the env file, you just do pip install, then Django. In this case, we are using Django 1.11. This is how you do it. In case if in your virtual environment you haven't installed Django, that is what you can do. In this tutorial, I assume that you have installed Django and we want to create our application. And we have created our project. This is our project, banking system. When you go to the folder, this is the folder we have created. Let me just maximize the folders, be extra large. Inside our banking project, this is what we have. We have the manage.py file, and then let me put the extension, view the extensions. Where is this? Yeah. Okay, we have manage.py. Then this is the other folder. This is the root folder. The root folder contains the settings.py, the urls.py, wsgi.py, and the init.py. When you open here, this is what we get. The settings.py file contains the settings for the Django application. So all these all the settings will be inside this settings.py file, and then this urls.py is like the URLs that you want to add. And then this wsgi file, you can do wsgi. The wsgi, it's like a built-in server. And when we look at the code, let's go and look at the code. is like some server settings. Okay, see WSGI config for banking system project. It exposes the WSGI callable as a module level variable named application. Guys, you can go to this link and you'll read more about it. I don't want to go into details with it. All I just want to show you is how we will create our application inside our Django project. Okay, we must check out to where manage.py file is. Okay, so we cd to banking system. Now we can see the manage.py file there. Now let's try to run for the first time. Python manage.py run server. Yep, the server is running. Okay, let's look at it. Just type localhost and then the port. Our Django project is running. Next, start your first app by running python manage.py start app, then the name of the app. So in our case, we're going to name our application API. Okay. Now let us go back to the terminal. Just Control C to exit the server. Then CLS python manage.py start app, then API. Okay, before I do this, I need to explain the difference between start app and start project. When you start a project, everything, even the manage.py will be created. All these files and folders will be created. But when you start an application, what will happen is an application will be created inside this project. So that is the difference. Now let us run this and see what will happen. Okay, I'm so used to Linux. When I want to look the directories, dir. Now we have created the application. When we reload our code editor right now, our application has been created. Let's go to the folders. Now our application has been created here. These folders were existing before, but this one was not existing. This is the application we've created. The application has views file, test file, models file, apps file, admin file, init file, and then the migrations folder. Most likely you will not interact or use this, the migration folder, init.py, the apps.py. You will most likely use admin.py, models.py, tests.py, views.py. Another thing is we need to add URLs file here, because let's say we want to access URLs inside this application. We need to define the URLs for this application, and then after that what we are going to do is we also put those URLs inside the root URL. The root URL usually is on the root level of your project. The root level of your project is here, the banking system. This is where you'll find the settings.py, the wsgi.py file. Okay, now let us go back to the code editor, and what we're going to do is Django actually will not recognize this application. So the thing that we need to do is now to enable Django to recognize this application. And how do you do that? We'll just go to the settings.py file and go to installed apps. This is where we do the application definition. We'll add our application here, API. Then we save. Then that's not all. We need to add URLs inside our application, and also we add views and just a dummy model so that we can see the application working. Now we are going to go to the app API. Then we will create our urls.py, and by convention we use urls.py. This is where you define all the URLs. Now we are going to create our model. In our model we are going to create maybe a branch class, then models.model. If you don't know about this the models.model, you can go to Zeal and then you just type models.model, and then there will be an explanation here. This is the model instance reference, and they will explain to you what this models.model does. The Zeal offline documentation tool is really important, guys. If you have it in your laptop, you'll spend less time going over the internet trying to search for documentation. Let's go back to creating our model. Now we'll just have a name, then have models.carfield max length, then because we are building an API, we also need a file called serialize.py. Then I don't know if I installed Django REST framework, but we'll look at it later on.